Hello and welcome to the Comforted Chics conversation. My name is Lakeisha Copeland. I am your host of today episode from Comforted Chics conversation, where we believe, we know, and we do great exploits. And today's guest is Katheryn. Katheryn, are you here with us today?
Yes, I am.
So tell us a little bit about your background, how you went from the military into what you do now.
Oh goodness. It's been a lot packed into a few years. I'll try to simplify just for the sake of time. So, I studied psychology in school. I have my Master of Science in experimental psychology. I thought I would go into research or be a professor. But the first job that I was offered out of college was in human services. It was working with uh individuals in a community-based residential setting. And I absolutely loved it. But the problem was I had no idea where to go next because I hadn't prepared for that. So I figured, well, there there's a very proud history of service to the country in our family. My grandfather retired as an Army major after like 30 plus years. So why not get paid to figure it out? It was a challenge too, and I love challenges. I was able to lose 30 pounds before ever going to boot camp, which I'm very proud of. And while there, I kind of explored a bunch of different avenues. I had the sense that, oh, I love helping people. I love learning. Medicine might be a fit, but I quickly realized that doctors don't spend a lot of time with patients. And I want to talk to people. I love talking to people. So when it turned out that wouldn't be a good fit, I was actually recruited by Amazon's military team, and I was a manager in a robotics warehouse for a year, and I learned so much. I had a team of, by the time I left, over 150 people. I had trained dozens. I had the highest rating, like the third highest rating of all of the managers in the whole warehouse. And that
Wow.
remains one of the best accomplishments I've done career-wise. Um,
Wow.
yeah, but when that was over, it came with an unexpected relocation. So life was kind of up in the air, and I figured, hey, if I wanted to try something new, now would probably be the time. So I tried out the field that I'm in now, which is called applied behavior analysis. It's working with special needs children and families. And I thought, you know what? They have this part-time opening. It's a period of transition right now. If it doesn't go well, you know, I got nothing to lose. And I absolutely fell in love.
Wow,
I
wow.
absolutely love this field. I anticipate sitting for national certification in about 6 months, and I can't imagine doing anything else.
Wow, that's amazing how that came about. Where did your passion for children arise from? Do you think you always had that passion?
That's a really good question. And if you had told me when I got out of college that I'd be working with children, I would have said you're crazy. I did not want to work with children initially. But it went back to that first job I had in that residential setting. Some of the individuals there were kids. And I just thought it was such a privilege to be working with them when they were so young and helping them develop habits that would serve them for the rest of their life. And now getting to work with the families and the caregivers so actively, I I feel like I genuinely feel like I make a difference every day and that I bring a little bit of positivity into the world with my work. And that's what makes this job.
So what do you say to people who are interested in going into the same field as you?
I would say, first of all, there's wisdom in the saying that not all fields are for everyone.
Hmm.
And in this field, though I absolutely love it, though I love learning, I love being there for kiddos, you will see some behaviors. You will see some unfortunate situations. You have to be ready for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. each job has great parts and not so great parts. So if that makes you uncomfortable, do some thinking on it.
How did
Not
you?
not not just for your sake, but for the sake of the families that you'll be working
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, because you're dealing with kids and all different types of, yeah, so that is definitely something that you don't want to take lightly when you enter into it.
This field that I'm in, though, it's very young. It's very young. It's just coming into sort of the public sphere. It took off in the 90s, so I'd love to see more people in it. But
Hmm.
just be mindful, it's a privilege to work with these young children. It's a privilege to be part of these families' lives.
Yeah. So do you think that you guys are finding new ways to help kids with different learning abilities and things like that?
Oh, absolutely. I know when you get to the national level, there is actually a requirement that you take a certain number of continuing education activities every year. So this field is constantly innovating and you are constantly learning new things. Even though I'm not at that level yet, I have gone out of my way to explore principles of trauma-informed care, neuro-affirming approaches, which is closely tied to the neurodiversity movement, principles of compassionate care. I want to learn everything, which isn't possible, but I want to be the best therapist that I possibly can.
Yeah. So what are some of the methods that you use when you're caring for these kids?
A lot of the therapy that I do, just because the kiddos I work with are so young, is done in the context of play. So something really easy would be the kiddo who I first worked with in this field and who I just had a blast with. You do pretend play. That's an
Hmm.
opportunity for turn taking, for saying my turn or 5 more minutes, or no, I want to do it this way. I don't think a lot of people realize just how many social skills go
Hmm.
into playing.
Yeah.
And you can teach prepositions during play, especially if you have no qualms about jumping into an Amazon box like I do. True story.
I remember before the pandemic, I used to teach in a center where it was for kids who were both typical and atypical. And when you started talking about play, it just it just bring back all those memories. In my class, I feel like it was the hardest. Like I didn't have any training, and it was the hardest because they were going into kindergarten, so they was like 4 and 5.
Oh, goodness.
It's
It's,
so hard because you really have to, like, if you grew up and brought up a certain way, you really have to reprogram everything, and you just want to like say,
yes.
"Hey, stop that!" But but that's not good.
I most definitely have a teacher slash therapist voice. Anybody that knows me will tell you.
So how do you like? How did you like go from, how do you transform from using those methods? You don't ever like want to go back to how maybe you was brought up and, you don't ever have flashbacks.
Well, it, it, it's my answer is twofold. Just because I was brought up a certain way, my the culture that I was in as a young kiddo, it was very much blue collar, work ethic, old school kind of thinking. And in the field that I'm in, ABA specifically, in our history, there are not some good points. Not at all. There are some things that were done in the early days of our field where there was no ethical oversight that are, I won't mention. You can look them up if you are so inclined. So there are two things at play there. And as I learn more about this field and as I gain more experience just working with kids in general, I've learned to be a lot more patient. I've learned to be a lot more willing to just sit and listen and ask questions instead of being so focused on this is the way it's always been done or this is what works for me. So obviously it's going to work for you. Nope.
So do you currently work in group settings, or do you like to do more one-on-one with the children?
I have done both, and I personally prefer one-on-one.
Hmm.
I've worked in clinics, I've worked in community settings, as I said, and I've worked in a school, which I loved. I'm still friends with some of my former coworkers, but I feel like that one-on-one allows me to really personalize my instruction and really get to know the kiddo individually, as opposed to, say, a clinic where you might be jumping back and forth between kids during your workday, or during
Yeah.
a school where you might be very short staffed and just not have the bodies that are needed to give one-on-one attention.
Hmm. So, do you think that ABA therapists should be incorporated more into the school systems?
That's a very good question. And I think I'm going to give an answer that I hate hearing, but it's a true answer. It depends on the kiddo and what the family's goals are.
Hmm.
Some kiddos, um, what they are working on and what the family views as important is not what ABA emphasizes.
Mm.
We are usually brought in when there is some kind of behavioral concern. Um, for instance, I've seen a lot of self-injurious behavior like head banging.
Oh.
That would fall under the realm of applied behavior analysis. Something like working on social emotional skills might just need a little more one-on-one.
Yeah. And so, it's exactly where are you now? Are you in a center now, or do you go from home to home?
Well, right now is also kind of a period of transition for me. I'm preparing for a move.
Hmm.
So I was working one-on-one with kiddos in the family's homes, which if I could do that all the time, I would. But also, since it takes a while to form that therapeutic relationship, um, when my position was eliminated, unfortunately, I didn't think it wise to try to start up a new relationship of that sort and leave a month or so later.
Hmm.
So right now, I'm really buckling down on my own skill set as a therapist. Um, if you are so inclined, you can go on my LinkedIn and see I've done so many certifications. I am just pounding so much knowledge into my head to try to prepare myself for the next step in my career.
And what do you think that is?
I want to pass my exam to become nationally certified. That exam is 4 hours long, and it tests everything from general concepts that you might use every day to just nitty gritty, like different levels of a system of reinforcement that you might not ever see used. So that's the first step is passing the exam. And when I am ready, I also want to be able to supervise those who are new to the field to try to teach them, hey, we had a way of doing things in the past. We're moving away from there. I think that's great. But if you want to learn about how things used to be done, you can go here, here, and here.
It was so good to talk to you. So, tell us, what will you say about the up and coming therapist who wants to get into this field? I know you said that it's definitely something that you shouldn't take lightly, but if someone has thought it over and decided that this is what they won't, what advice you would give to them?
Well, I I have so much fun in this role. I love it, but it's not just about playing with kids all day. It does require specialized training. If all it was playing with kids, everybody would do it. Kids are fun. But we are ABA therapists. We have principles of behavior science we have to learn and implement. We have to know reinforcement functions of behavior like the back of our hand. There's training that goes into this. So you have to be mindful about the responsibility you're taking on, and you have to really love learning.
And where can we find you? Like, what is your website, your social media handles? And do you have um anything else that you would like to share with us?
I am super active on LinkedIn. I am trying to build up my presence there, trying to get a little bit more into content creation. So anyone is welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm probably the only person with my name on there, and my profile photo is me in my dress whites graduating boot camp. So I'm easy to find.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for having the conversation with us about children and your passion for children and being an ABA therapist. And you just reminded me so much of that period in time where I was working in that center for about 2 years, way before COVID happened, and the whole world shut down.
That it did.
But thank you for having that conversation with us, Catherine. It has definitely been a pleasure talking with you today.
Oh, it's been my pleasure sharing. I love talking about what I do.
And thank you all for tuning in, and we will see y'all next time. Bye bye.
Bye.